All right, we're live on on Life Lux Now podcast. I have a very special guest. He's shaking his shoulders. He's ready. I'm
Yeah.
the host, Monique Nicole, and I have a guest, Tabo. It's Tabo, right?
Tabo.
Tabo? Tabo. Okay. I was trying to listen to it on your song, but
It's all
I
right.
still got it wrong.
It's all right. It's all right.
Thabo. Okay, that's an interesting name. Where did you get that name from?
South Africa.
Oh wow. Okay. Were you born in South Africa?
No, I was born here, so so right now they can't send me back just yet.
Thank you.
Can't send me back just yet. I got, you know what I mean.
What about your family?
Right, right, right. But I'm first generation born, so
Okay. All right.
I
So
look.
you good. At least for now, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's getting crazy. But why don't you just introduce yourself and just talk to the people, tell people what you do, who you are, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm known by a lot of different things. I'm Tabo Courtney, King Thabo, different abbreviations. I am a artist, music artist, as well as an author, and I'm really involved in community, and yeah, that's kind of I love all things pro black, so that's just
I
kind of
love that.
yeah. A little brief intro.
Yeah. So you say you like everything pro black. What do you think right about right now? How how our government is completely against diversity, equity, and inclusion. What do you think about what's going on in the world, pretty much, and what's going on in America?
I think that's a great question. For my personal preference, um, I'm not for like I'm a very like I look at things across the board, right? So just because it's black people who benefit from it, and now we don't benefit from it, that doesn't make me be like, oh nah, it's a horrible thing that they're doing. But my biggest issue right now is that there's no communication on the why. You
Mm.
know, like it's just like, yeah, we're coming in here and we're taking out the DEI, and that's just what it is. It's not, and I think it's with when you have respect for somebody, when you have respect for people who have invested in this country, and literally blood, who have
Mm-hmm.
country and time invested in this country with innovation and invention. I think the least you could do in respect for people is to give communication on why you're doing some of the things that you're doing if you truly cared. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, some people would say it's racism driven. Some people might say it's financially driven.
Hmm.
Personally, I've looked at some of the things that's happening. I would say it's a little bit of both. But one thing I have noticed is that there are certain programs and different things like that where they cut funding, and
Hmm.
so it makes me think, as a previous business owner, it makes me think, okay, you're cutting this funding because you want to use it for XYZ, right? And so the problem is we don't know what the XYZ is. We just see you like cutting all like trillions of dollars,
Right,
but you're not telling us, okay, you're cutting this funding, but you're not telling us where this funding is going to be allocated.
right. What's the
So
real plan?
yeah. So that's my personal opinion about it, just from my standpoint of what I've been looking at. I'm like, okay, they're cutting this funding for a reason. They're going to funnel this money somewhere. Where is it going? Is it going into the pockets of the politicians and those in their constituents?
Uh huh.
Where is this money going? Because as a former business owner, that's the first thing you're doing. You're looking at the line items, you're trying to see what's costing me money, like what's not making me money and what can I cut so I can use this money for something else.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see, but they're not being vocal. Like you said, they're not actually vocalizing and saying what's going to happen why
Right.
you do this. Hmm.
Right. That's why this we're in such an interesting time because, like you said, there was a time where there were line items. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just say we doing this, we doing this, we doing that. Everything had to have a direction before the action was taken. Be communicated. It had to be. So I think that's one of the most interesting things at the time that we're in right now is that the question is like, where do Black people stand? You know, like where do we stand in this transition? Because as it is right now, we aren't really in any seat of influence in terms of the political positionings. So the question has to be, I think, with Black people, we have to ask ourselves, like, okay, so what do we do? Do we ask to have representation, or do we just
Hmm.
create our own representation?
Yeah, I definitely think at some point we have to just stop asking and stop begging and just kind of like do our own thing. But history has shown us that when we have done that, our cities, our businesses, our homes were burned down to the ground.
Right,
So
right,
it's like they don't want us to do that either. So it's a very tricky situation, and somehow collectively we have to figure out how we're going to progress as a community because it is you know it is so many things going against us at one time. It's like, all right, you don't want to give us anything, but when we build
yeah.
it on our own, so it's just like a never ending
Come
story.
on now.
It's crazy. But
Right.
I want to get more into like their upbringing and oh, I lost them. I'll just give them a few minutes to come back. Okay,
I don't
there
know
we
what happened. It just got disconnected. You good?
go. It's all
I was like,
right.
oh, what?
It's okay.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I wanted to get more into your upbringing and you talked about having like that those South African roots, and just tell me like how that has impacted you in general, like in your life, just knowing, okay, you're one of the few people in America who can actually identify with where you come from versus like Black African Americans who most Black African Americans who were born here can't really identify with where generation after generation after generation where we come from. So what is that like for you?
I think that's a great question. I think I would say, it's been very interesting, right? And the main reason I say that is because, as you said, I was born here,
Hmm.
right? So and both parents, our parents on both sides are African. So I think it came to the point where a lot of times I had to have the conversation with myself, like, who did I want to be? You know, like who did I want to choose to accept? Who did I want to? Because it wasn't like everybody was this and everybody was that. Every part of I had a very strong African influence and I had a very strong American influence. So it was figuring out, uh, having confidence in my identity, and that took some time. It took some time because, as I told everybody, being African wasn't always cool. You know what I mean? It wasn't always Wakanda forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of immigrants say that, like, especially like the Haitians here in South Florida, like, they got teased and things like that. So yeah, I can kind of understand that because it's like it's foreign to us, like we're used to what we're used to, and then all of a sudden this person comes along and they're different. And so people don't really understand it. But now I feel like people are more educated and more in touch with wanting to know and wanting to learn,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I can understand that. So what age do you feel like you became like more confident in knowing like who you were?
Funny enough, it wasn't for a while. I think it wasn't until about, I want to say, 25,
Mm.
right? Where I really began to say, like, I love this aspect of myself. It took some time to really, because first, see, because the thing is, as you said, like, it wasn't always this amazing thing, you know. So so there was a level of confidence and tough skin that had to be developed for a while. And it wasn't until the 20s when I began to really have the understanding of why those who were born here, Black Americans here, why some of them did not have a level of value of their African connection.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, a lot of things have been taught, a lot of things have been manipulated. A lot of truths have been manipulated, and so I think it's there. Like you said, there was not a lot of information, and so when people don't know, they tend to want to point fingers at. They tend to want to disassociate with. They tend to want to find a way that where they can feel above. They can feel above the lack of knowledge that they have. So they'll ridicule something that they don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I have a friend that's Nigerian, and she got married, and honestly, I felt so. I was happy for her, right? But when I was at her wedding, I felt a little bit sad too because her wedding was so cultural and it was, so in tune with her Nigerian roots. And, it was just, I felt a little bit sad because I felt so disconnected. I was like, wait, what's going, what's going on, and it was just like, why don't I know this? Why don't I have this experience? So it was like a little bit sad, in a way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can get it because, like you said, like, and I think that's where I've been studying the African culture myself. I think that's where there has to be a middle ground where, and I think Ghana has been doing it very well. Nigeria does it very. They've been doing it pretty well. There has to be a middle ground where the cultures create an invitation to learn more about each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's kind of like the next step of the unification of the African people.
Mm. Yeah, and I hear it in your music too. I've heard a couple songs, and I'm like, okay, I can hear the infusion.
Mm.
Which one do you lean towards more? Like, which, like, because I hear like the kind of like Afrobeat sound, and then I hear like the soulful R&B type of sound. So, which one do you love more?
That's a good question. I got to be careful with this question. I don't want to be.
Uh-uh.
Um, you ain't black. You ain't African. um, I think I pull from both equally in this point of my life, and that sounds like a cliche answer. It wasn't always like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was at one point. See, because what I knew, so I don't speak the language, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
here and there, but I don't speak it fluently. So there was a level of sometimes unintentionally we try to fit in. You know, we try to fit into a mold. We try to fit into a community, and so there was a time when I tried to fit in on both sides. I'm like, let me try to fit in with this crowd. Let me try to fit in with this crowd. But I'm like. Then once you get tired, you be like, you know what? I don't care if none of y'all like me. To me, like, I don't even care. And that's when I really learned, to just like I don't have to try to be something if I'm something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
Mm-hmm.
African, I don't have to try to be African. Even if
Right.
somebody in Africa is like, he don't speak the language, he ain't African. My that has they're not the ones who judge that.
Right. Right.
If somebody who's American is like, nah, but both of your parents is from Africa, so you can't be talking about you American because they don't judge that either. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
learn to kind of like invite. just who I am into both of these different worlds, then it started to make sense. And it's like, oh yeah, you were perfectly all these things, you know.
Right. Fearfully and wonderfully made.
You know,
Listen.
come
Okay,
on.
so right. So when did you discover that you had like this musical talent? Because I can remember when I felt like I knew how to sing. I was like 7 and I was like, Mom, look. And
Now, what? Hold on, let me say that part again.
when I was
Hold on.
like 7, I was like, oh Mom, I sound like Whitney Houston. So when did you realize that you had this musical talent?
This your moment right here. It's your signing day. Come on, Whitney.
No, no.
Mm,
No,
I'm ready.
no.
Look, look. Let me hear it.
We're gonna leave that to you. But
Oh, okay, I ain't gonna put you on the spot right now, but just if you think about putting me on the spot, the spot is coming back. All right.
so when did you discover that you can sing, you can play instruments? Like when did you realize this?
That's a good question. I give glory to God, who's the head of my household. um, I think it started with it started, I say, in high school. Well, you know what? No, let me take that back. I didn't realize that I could sing in high school. I just would open my mouth and sing, and I don't know if anybody liked it during that time or not, but I said I'm gonna give it to them. I mean, they don't got no choice. And then I think I want to say around.
So were you
Hmm,
like singing it like talent or something?
no, no, no. I'll just be in the house. And her mama Dukes, she just would have to listen. She ain't never say nothing about nothing. And then I think then after that, I started playing. I picked up the guitar in high school, like senior year. And then as I started playing the guitar, then I started getting into songwriting, and I think that's really when everything kind of started taking off.
Okay. So where were you getting your inspiration to write songs in high school? Like what were you talking about?
Hmm. I think I would say it was very much on a spiritual level. A lot of songs were just accompanying where I was in faith. You know what I mean? Like, and the things I was going through my faith journey, and and that was kind of the outlet for me to connect to God and connect and find peace in the midst of a whole bunch of junk going on.
Yeah. I did see that you used to sing gospel music. Did you want to be a gospel artist and then you kind of like switched?
Nah, she said, "You when you become a heathen,
Mm-hmm.
when you become a heathen." I think I wouldn't say that I ever really switched. I think I just changed my understanding of things, if that makes sense. It might not make sense to some people, but for me, I made what I do to be more personal. You know what I mean? And so I try to speak about and write music uh, regarding the realities of the life that I'm experiencing.
Hmm.
And I think that's what connects with people. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to do what the industry want to do. I'm not trying to do, I just think it's important to be able to express yourself in the complete way that you truly desire to. You know.
Right. How do you I guess how do you mentally prepare yourself when you write music? Um where do you get your inspiration from now when you write music?
That's a great question. I would say now I pull from just from reality. I pull from Like I don't. There was a time when I would pull from, like, there's different phases. One phase I would pull from musicality. When I hear a chord and I hear a note, and now it'll just make me want to start writing to it. Another phase I would pull from what I felt was uh, the the conversations in the community at the time. You know what I mean? Whatever people are kind of. But I learned that it was better, even though you can have an ability to do something. If you're not doing it from a place of genuineness and just like transparency, freedom with yourself, you will never feel fulfilled with it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's when I started really just changing the way I write, changing the way I create, and just the way I live my life. And the music began to is, and you'll see even now in this season, in a couple months, a couple weeks, that the music is going to resonate from a place of just where I am, not so much what I think people want to hear. You know.
Right. I actually love your music. It
Well,
reminds me. Sorry, what'd you say? You blanked out a little bit.
I'm humbled. Plus.
Yeah, I love your music because it's actually like the type of music that I like to listen to.
Mm.
It reminds me of when I lived in Atlanta and I would go to this. Oh gosh, what was that spot name? I think they still have it. Gosh, I can't even think of it. It'll come to me,
It's
but
all right.
it was this it's this place in Atlanta, and it's like really like a hole in the wall type of spot.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get a lot of just like up and coming artists and just people who just have like a real soulful sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love how you sound because that's the type of music that I like. I like people who like sing full out. Like I like your raspy
Yeah.
tone. Yeah, I like that. So I'm pretty sure you probably have heard like that you sound a little bit like Anthony Hamilton
Oh, I
or
heard it. I heard it.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
this time, so to be careful, you say it again.
You do. I mean, it's definitely a similar style. But I do, and I like when you do the Afro beats and the Afro infusions too. So I really like your music. So when you do come out with the album, is it going to be infused or is it just like you're gonna start with like one type of style and then maybe do another type of style?
That's a good question. Well, so initially, I had wanted to start off with doing. I have thought about starting off with one sound, you know, but then the more I began to understand, just like honoring myself, the more I said, you know what, I'd rather have people who connect with me because they value the message and they connect with me on a real life personal level than because they just like maybe the song I made. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because it's easy to get people who like you. It's more beneficial to get people who love you.
mm-hmm,
If that's a smaller group, because then that's when y'all can grow together. Y'all can impact. Y'all can. It's just a better experience overall, in my opinion, when it comes to this life journey as a creative, life journey as an influencer, as an entrepreneur, a life journey as a yeah, just creator. You know, it's better when you learn to honor yourself and honor your gift. You sleep better.
mm-hmm.
You know, you
Yeah.
sleep better regardless of how the wind blows.
What does your parents think about your music?
Um, they believe in it. They believe in it. They absolutely believe in the vision. They it's kind of like they're just waiting. They're like, okay, we know you about to hit. Like, we know you about to like go ahead and take off on this thing. It's just kind of like looking for the win.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's definitely like you're on the right track. Um, how are you working to like get more people to know who you are? What's some of the steps that you've taken, just to get your name out there, get your music out there? What's some of those steps?
So the biggest thing right now, is that I got a project coming out. I want to say by next month, if not
Okay.
sooner. Yeah, I got a project coming out. Because what I learned and what I found is that you can get a lot of people's eyes. You know what I mean? Like you can do a show. Like I did a show like a year ago, and it was about like 20,000 people,
Oh,
and it was a great experience, great, phenomenal. But the thing is, if you don't have something that communicates to you that they can take home with them,
right.
then you it doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah. Um, yeah, speaking of that, yeah, like that place that I was telling you about, I remember it was this artist, her name's Shamora, and she had an album. And so even though she wasn't like famous or anything like that, she had an album. So and she was selling them for like $10. And I'm like, oh yeah, let me. And I bought it, and I still know who she is. And this had to been over 15 years ago. And I still think about her music. I still think about how her
Fixed.
music made me feel when I heard her live.
You're right.
Um, so yeah, that's a good point. Is just to be able to have like something tangible for them to just really, grab a hold to.
Right. It's a game changer.
hmm Tell me about this single you have. You got it, because that is a hit. I love that song. How did you get that sample?
So Got It is gonna be Got It was one of the introductory songs I wanted to put out. I want to give people a little bit of flavor, a little bit of because it has a lot of different things in it. You know what I mean? Like it has like a little R&B kind of feel, it has a little hip hop kind of feel, and then you got a little Afro kind of feel that it's like it's a hint, it's in there. It's
Mm,
like it's not direct, but it's something about the cadence of everything. It has that kind of feel. So I wanted to put Got It out to create a track that I felt like everyone could resonate with in some way. So Got It. I'm gonna be pushing that out starting because I already been pushing it out right now, but I think I'm gonna give it a bigger push international, and I'm gonna go ahead and I think internationally they're gonna eat it up, and then it's gonna come back around and they're gonna eat it up in the states again.
mm.
Hmm.
I love that song. Like, how did you get that Black Street sample? You still haven't told me. How did you get that? Because as soon as the song comes on, it's like, I know this song. It just puts me back to that place, because I'm older than you.
Yeah,
So when that song came out, that was around the time I don't know, maybe I was in, how old was I? Maybe in middle school or high school or something. So
gave
it
it. Yeah.
back to that time, and I'm like, oh yeah. So how did you get that sample?
You got a producer who is crazy with the samples, crazy with the samples. So we were able to kind of make something work, and we he put it with the beat, and he made some magic, and I said, all right, you made some magic. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go do what I do with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody use that sample before. I mean, maybe they have and just haven't done it like that, but I
Ah,
was just like immediately like, yes. No, seriously, like the older people, like the young people won't really, it won't resonate for the most part. But like older people, like my age range or older, they'll be like, yeah.
it's gonna hit him. It's gonna hit him. It's gonna hit him. It's gonna
Yeah,
hit.
for sure.
Yeah. This new stuff though,
Okay, I'm ready for it.
gonna be crazy.
I'm ready. You said in a month you're coming out with, is it gonna be like a full project or just like more singles?
Speaking of that, so speaking of that, I think one of the biggest things that I've realized when it comes to music artists is that music artists have lost, in my opinion, because of people who started trying to kind of pervert the music industry. They lost the understanding of what music initially was. Music is art. You know, when you well, at least when you create it from a place of as an artist, that it's art. It's sonic art. And I think um, people have just made it to, oh, it's just an EP. Oh, it's just a album. And they're like, oh, well, EPs go for 1.99 cents. But I think when you really sit and you really think, if you go to an art museum, every painting has a different price, right?
Mhm.
Because every painting communicates it has different elements to it. It's not just oh, it's a painting, so we're just gonna group it as paintings. It's like it has a something. That's why
Mhm.
you can take put a banana on a wall, and take some tape and wrap some tape on it, and then you can sell that banana for $1 million.
Right.
You
I
know,
saw that banana that they taped on the wall. I was just like, you gotta be kidding
crazy, right? Crazy,
me.
crazy. But I think, I think so. For me, I'm changing the way that I look at music. I'm changing the way I create music and I promote, and I'm looking at it as I'm creating an art piece. You know,
Okay.
because when it comes to music, I see myself as an artist, and so I don't look at it as EPs, or because a lot of times the connotation that comes with an EP is, oh, it's just something that they just put together as a sample. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I think, excuse me, I think I look at it as, it's not a sample. I'm putting together something that's a masterpiece.
Mhm.
And when you do that, that's how you change the way it's. So I say I'm putting out a project. I'm putting out, and that's how I call it. I call it a project. I don't really call it or I put it out a piece. I don't. I think we kind of gotta get away from the album, or the well, album I understand, but the EPs. Like, if you didn't put your heart into it, then okay, call it EP. You know what I mean? Like like
Mhm.
call it. But I think if you put your heart into it, you've added different elements to it. You have to put more creativity and give yourself more credit.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I love that. Are you an independent artist or are you signed to a record label?
Well, I am independent, but I'm actually starting a label in about probably like 2 3 months. I'd say
Oh,
probably
yay.
so.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Appreciate it. You're hearing it first. You're hearing it here first. You're hearing it here first.
I'm excited about that. I honestly, I'm the type of person like I can see when someone has like a glow and a light, and I just definitely see you're like a superstar. And
Well,
I need to get you on my podcast before you act like you don't know me. No, seriously, I see that for you, and it's just like you got it. Like it's just that it thing. Like you got it.
well, I
So
did, and you got it. I'm happy to be on your podcast before you out there traveling the world, and you friends with Oprah, and then I'm over there talking about, hey, what's going on? That you can't answer. I got to talk to you. That's all I'm saying. I'm happy.
girl.
I see them. I see them. Them
You see
numbers.
the
when you doing a live show,
It's like,
oh, all right, she gone now. She gone now. She done got the
I
live.
love this podcast because, yeah, I love this podcast because it really just gives me an opportunity to reach out to my network. And, there's so many people that are already in connection with us. And, we think about people that we want to talk to and people that we want to interview and all these people. And we think about those people that we see on TV, but it's everyday people that's doing great things and things that need to be talked about. And we just kind of like overlook it because they're not in the limelight yet, like, but there's people who are really working hard and are strategizing how to get to the next level. And so that's really what my podcast is really about, is just like to talk to those people. Like, you have, even though you're not quote unquote famous yet, right? But you still have a level of success and the idea of what it takes to strive to success, and there's
Right.
something that you're able to share, um even at your level. So I just think that's important, to like talk to the people that are already, like, that are reachable, that are touchable, because they are just as important as the people that's at the Grammys right now.
Right, right. Absolutely. Like this podcast though. That's what I'm saying. Look, I'm about to screenshot you so you can't say so what I need that connection to Tyler Perry. Listen, I need I'm don't
Just
act like
put me on your project, like, yeah, I just wanna
that's
thank
what
Monique.
I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna let you say it. I'm gonna let you say it something and put it on there. So you can't no deny.
um, do you have a son?
I do, I got two.
Okay, I know you had a child because I've been stalking you on your social media. Um,
Uh-oh,
how
what
are you?
y'all, what she
No,
uh,
no, no. I mean, I just had to like figure out, some things to talk to you about. So I'm like, oh, he has a child. Let me just jot that down. So you have two sons. What do you want to teach them as far as, like, just looking at your journey? I don't know how old they are. I don't know if they're old enough to like watch what you're doing, but like, what kind of example do you want to share with them and leave with them? And how are you planning to, I guess, build that generational wealth for them?
um what I can say, because that's always a question as a father, as a parent, that you begin to ask yourself, what is what level of parenting am I embracing? You gotta see, um, am I just being a present father? Am I being a influential father? Am I being um, a lackadaisical parent? These are all the different things that we ask, and I had the question to decide on what was it that I wanted to share with my boys. That's something that even now I think about. And I think the biggest thing I could say that I would want to instill in them. So first, it was that they should always be able to communicate how they feel. Right? It was communication, and I'll continue to do my best to affirm them in the aspect of being able to speak when something's not okay. When you're not okay with how someone is acting with you. When you're not okay with with how someone's treating you, being able to communicate that, that is not up to the par of how you want to be treated, right? And then the next thing, but this phase of life right now, this chapter is very much about leadership.
Mm,
Because I think the biggest thing and the most beneficial thing, that I can give my boys right now is to learn how to be comfortable in being leaders. Because when you learn how to be comfortable being a leader, no matter what age you are, no matter where you are always um, opening yourself to be able to find a way to be able to find an answer, to be able to see what needs to happen, what needs to change. And I think that's the thing that a lot of our community, in terms of men, black men, was what have that we were not affirmed in the aspect of leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to the point because a lot of fathers were not in the picture. So a lot of our black men, they they they're scared to take the place that they're supposed to be in life. They're afraid to step up in certain areas. They've been coddled for a long time. And I say this, having experienced it and having seen, they've been because they haven't have had the space to be cultured in leadership. They haven't had the space to be cultivated where they can get comfortable with stepping into their greatness. You know, so I think that's something that I strive to do with my boys is to continue to motivate them to say, be confident in who you are. Be confident in being the leader of a situation.
I love that. And just, just as a black woman who has only dated black men, I can honestly say the men who have been the easiest to date are the men who have fathers who taught them how to be leaders. Um, there's definitely a clear, I can almost tell, like, immediately, like without a man telling me whether he's had a father or not. I can tell, I already know, because there's just a certain way that he is able to strategize, he's able to problem solve, he's able to kind of like be resilient, kind of bounce back when there's an issue. So I think that you're on the right track with that, and I'm glad that you are focusing on that, because they will be less of a headache to some woman down the
Oh,
line. Really, because they're already raised, because there's a lot of men, they're adults and they're men, but they're kind of like grown boys, and it almost feels like you have to raise them. And no woman really wants to do that. And that's also frustrating for the man too, to feel like, oh, like, why are you trying to be my mom? Why are you telling me what to do? And it's because that woman is probably seeing something lost in you, and she's trying to guide you. And so that could be frustrating for both people. So just knowing that you are focusing on instilling that in them, to be able to like voice their feelings, express themselves, like, which is another major issue that you see, like with black men. They don't know, a lot of them don't know how to articulate their feelings in a healthy way. And so all of that is like so important, and so you're doing a good job.
well, I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And in all fairness to our black men now.
We ain't gonna beat them up too bad.
Oh, now. I think it's vice versa. I think it is going to help them be able to be the best version of themselves for the right woman, and it's also going to help them not to get caught up with a woman who has not been who has not dealt with the trauma in her life, because
Hmm.
it's both. I don't think any, and this is from me, and we always talk about this, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna let everybody in our little personal talk. I think it's no one side gender is not so much better than the other, but is more prepared than the other, right? Or greater. Let's say that is greater than the other. I think it's a thing that, like I said, black men early on have not been taught certain things. Certain things have not been normalized amidst a black community in terms of young black men. For example, when you look at going to school from early on, the young black woman was taught, listen, you have to keep it, be relaxed, don't be doing the most, and just go to school, come home, take care of whatever needs to be done in the house. But there's no reason for you to be out here doing too many things, right? And the thing is, when it comes to the black man, from early on, he's had to have a survival mindset. You
Mm.
see, so when he was supposed to be in school studying, he didn't know the difference between him. He did for him. He thought real life was happening right then and there, and it really was though. Because how many times do you see young black men they're being attacked from high school, middle school age, and before that, you have a system that is strategically and intentionally looking to either incarcerate them, to uh, uh, put them, have them shooting, killing each other, trying to survive, and they have no male. So they don't understand. For them, it's like the Lord of the Flies amongst themselves, right? So, so they cannot even focus on just being in the system because there is so much pressure in the community to be this thing.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So by the time he finally figures out, oh snap, none of that was beneficial, it's already too late. So now he had, or not too late, but now he has to figure out in his 30s how to get back on track with the plan of life. Where in the black woman, young black woman, didn't have to worry about shootouts and getting in a beef with some dudes and this is that. Her main thing was just go to school. Her expectation was go to school, take care of the house, take care of your siblings, and make sure you do that and don't get pregnant. And so I think it's not no one to blame in terms of man or woman, but I think we have to wake up in terms of the black community and understand that if we don't come together to help you, and I'm not saying get into a relationship with nobody, I ain't saying that, but I'm saying if we don't come together to figure out how to yeah, I ain't saying all that now, no. But we got to figure out how to edify each other, right? We have to figure out how do we come together to reconstruct the family, or and if we can't do the family right now, how do we reconstruct the village? You see what I'm saying? That at least the village
Mm.
carries the children, so they're not raised with trauma. They're not raised with. But if we just continually going on IG and and black man ain't that and black man ain't that, black you ain't going nothing's gonna change.
Right.
And vice
Yeah.
versa. Black woman this and black woman that, and nothing's gonna change.
Yeah. I definitely I appreciate that perspective.
My love.
And I think that in general, I always say this that, we're just reflections of each other. So, you know, when you look at me, when I look at you, I'm really seeing, parts of me that's flaring up and vice versa. So we're just reflections of each other. And like you said, we just have to heal in order to be able to be in community with each other and be in relationship with each other because it is a lot of issues in general within our community as it comes to like family, relationships, friendships, whatever, yeah, we just weren't, it wasn't set up for us to succeed. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of challenges that we have to overcome. So
And
I
that's
appreciate that perspective.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Um, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was your book. It's an affirmation book, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
All right. So this book is gonna be. This book is called Dear Black Woman.
Mm.
Hmm. And so the emphasis. I actually just recorded the audio version for it today, this weekend. I mean, so it's gonna be dropping soon. And the emphasis of the book is to communicate affirmations from the perspective of a black man, or not even something black man, but um, affirmations that a black woman may have never heard from her father, her uncle, her her siblings, somebody who was supposed to be the voice of healing and motivation to her, and it's created in a direction to look to bridge the gap um, of emotional connection and that may be there that they may not have heard, as well as to edify our black queens and let them know that we believe in them.
Where did that come from? Where did that desire to want to do that? Like, why black women versus black men?
Well, so there is a something coming out for black men that I'm doing. I think a lot of it is I'm releasing it in the conversation of perception, right? How I know that our community kind of takes in information, and so a lot of times black women are quicker to take in something that they see is good, right? They're quicker to grab hold to something that they see is good, even if they can't see exactly how it's going to benefit their life. The fact that they see that it can benefit their life, they will invest in it easier, quicker than sadly than a lot of black men than the black men in our community. And so, but what the emphasis is that as it's gaining traction for the black women, that the traction will create a foundation and will create a communication that okay, what's coming from this well is good, because the hope is that a man will be sitting with his wife or his friend, and he's listening to this book and it's hitting him a certain way, and or she sees that this book it spoke to her a certain way, and so she's like, when the version for the black man comes out, she wants to get that for him. He wants to buy that for himself. It creates a level of trust, and so that's why it's coming out in a certain order.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That makes sense. I
Hmm.
love that. I'm I'm so excited about this affirmation that I have to get it. And I'm excited for your future. I thank you so much for talking with me. This has been so fun and so informative and just more than what I expected. Um, I
Well,
don't
I'm.
know if it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said I'm happy. But tell what before you leave, what can we be expecting from you? What can we expect from your side of the world? Let me interview for 1 second.
Well, I plan on going on tour really soon with my podcast.
Right.
I'm planning on going on tour. Catch me. I catch flights. Not feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
Flight's not feeling.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, but yeah, thank you. Is there anything that you want to say before you go? I know you might want to watch the Grammys or something tonight. I think it's tonight, right? I don't know.
I,
But
much money I need to learn. I need to figure out how to make to be watching football.
oh yeah, football is on.
Too much money I need to figure out how to make to sit here watching football right now.
All right. Well, anything you want to say before you go?
No, well, whoever listens to this, um, trust God, trust yourself, and value the seeds that are in your hand, not the seeds that are in somebody else's garden, because the seeds that are in your hand are the ones that are going to change your life.
Wow, love it. And how can we find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me King Tabo, Thabo, Courtney, Courtney, King Tabo Courtney on IG, and we're gonna have some other stuff coming from that page directly. That it'll kind of be like the gateway to all the other pages.
Nice. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me your hour on a Sunday, football Sunday. Enjoy.
All right, you too.
Good night.